I think everyone is just astounded how that I've written a book. I think for an actress, for a working actress, I think it's just something that's never been done before in our industry. I like superheroes who have like a sense of humor, who are fragile, who are human, who are not afraid to look silly. When my edits came back from HarperCollins, I used to just look at that document and I literally was in tears because I'm like, I can't even punctuate. Hi.
Hi. So, shall we just start with your book? The obvious question, how did it come about? I mean, how did it come about?
Oh, well, I don't know. It was an idea that came to me at the end of 2018 and
Okay.
started writing, um, almost like a journal. And somehow along the way, it just took some kind of form.
How did the idea occur to you? Was it inspired by somebody you saw, or was it something you read somewhere, or how did that Zeba come about?
I wish I could give you like a coherent answer, but I don't know. I think I
Okay.
was just fascinated by the idea of a misfit turning superhero and saving the world. Honestly was the genesis of the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think like I enjoy films like Deadpool, which are so like subversive and fun. I think that was the idea. I wrote it originally as like a television pitch, like a 10 page, which I just showed to a bunch of people, and they're like, "Oh, it's great! It could be like a fun series or a film." Because as an actor, those are the terms I think of. Writing a book
Yeah.
is not the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the 10 pager. I sent it to a bunch of people, and they were like, "Oh, it's actually pretty decent." And when COVID hit, I was like, hey, should I convert this into a screenplay? I tried to think of a few people I could jam with. I even reached out to a couple of like comic book creators and like, hey, should we make this? I think I was shirking away from the responsibility of having to write the whole thing myself. And then I realized, you know what? I think just translating what I'm thinking about this to another person and another creator would be so much more work than just doing the damn thing on my own. And that's exactly what I did. I just took out my laptop and just started punching in the keys. And slowly, the book took on some kind of shape.
And when did you write, and how did you, the process, did you have any writer's block, or did you plot it first? Did you create the plot first and then write, or did you create the characters and then just let them do what they wanted, or how did you structure
Uh,
it?
I think my process was very simple. I used to write first thing in the morning. So I wake up and take a cold shower and I just maybe do a 20-minute kind of a workout just to like get the body moving and like have that ease and then just sit down with my coffee and just start writing. And I always wrote in first person and I wrote in terms of characters because as an actor it's easy for me to think in terms of characters. That comes very naturally to me. That's been my training all these years.
Mhm.
Writing like a conventional plot or whatever, I don't think that's not my natural instinct, which is why the book, if you read it, it's sort of like it's all first person narrative. It's always like each character, their motivations, their dreams, their hopes, what they want to achieve in life. It is in that format. And I think that's also what makes it quite a clutter breaker in that sense, that it's not trying to follow the traditional tropes of writing or describing a scene or a story. Yeah, and it was so that really what it was. I didn't really suffer from like writer's block. I did write a lot more, which never made up to the final book because we edited out or just thought it was just repetition of ideas and all of those things happen. But no, I don't think I've experienced what they call the writer's block yet.
Right, right.
Perhaps I
And
don't know what it is.
sorry?
I'm saying I don't know what it is.
Lucky you. So, why fantasy? Did you ever think of writing a realistic literary fiction kind of a book? Why fantasy?
No, I enjoy actually, to be honest, like when I was growing up, I really enjoyed like Marquez and a lot. So I love the whole idea of like magic realism, and fantasy fiction both. I find that really fascinating. So I really thought like, is there a way that you can try and like, I always knew I wanted to attempt that because there's so many things that you can express through that genre that you can't possibly, other genres. I mean, they just are very bound by Newtonian concepts. They have to be have some origin in today, time, place. But with fantasy fiction or magic realism, you really can take those leaps and bounds, and sometimes they help you imagine a reality which possibly is better than the existing one. And I enjoy that aspect of it. So yeah,
Are you a Marvel fan?
I'm more a Deadpool fan.
Deadpool fan. Okay. Uh, if you were to have a superpower, what would you want?
The ability to read people's mind and
Why?
influence, so I can get everything.
Right.
Hmm.
And your favorite superhero would be Deadpool.
Or Iron Man.
Why Iron Man?
Actually, even Batman, Nolan, but very specifically Nolan's Batman. I don't know. I like superheroes who have like a sense of humor, who are fragile, who are human, who are not afraid to look silly. And they still are able to do quite remarkable things. I think sometimes what happens is like, just when you say like, oh, somebody's a superhero, someone has to like achieve something, there's a lot of heaviness that gets attached to it. It's almost like as if you're an adult and all the fun is supposed to go out from your life. And I resent that. I resent that kind of thinking. Just because you're supposed to do some important, remarkable things, you should not get heavy down by it. I think that itself causes so much anxiety and mental disorder. So I feel like at least in fiction or in fantasy fiction, one can imagine a superhero, and she can do pretty remarkable things, but she can just wear that crown rather lightly.
Right. Is that your motto
Hmm.
in life as well? Wear your crown lightly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about how you juggle? You were shooting for Tarla then while you were writing?
No, actually, I was shooting for, I think, Army of the Dead. I've no, I was joking with Follow Me, my publisher and Himali, my agent, my literary agent. I was like, I've finished like 8 films since I started writing and probably published this book, or perhaps more. Uh, you need to check my filmography from 2019 to today. It's been a lot. Of course, like I was not actively writing throughout. I think I actively started writing at end of 2020 is when I actively started writing the book. But it was just like a note there, a scribble here, a scribble there, but just it was just ruminating. It wasn't really like I was not actively writing it. Um, so yeah, I think I did finish a lot of films in the interim. I think all that time I had during COVID helped because it allowed me that discipline of waking up in the morning and doing this. But often, I mean, sometimes I would wake up early and write for a couple of hours before I would go on shoot. So I've also done that. So
How do you switch between the two? Is it difficult, like in your mind space, to write and then act and then write and then act? And
not really. I mean, I don't know. I've never thought of it in terms of difficulty or ease. I just do it. I don't know. I can't um I'm suddenly at a loss for words. I don't know. I can't tell you. Like, I mean, it's just something you can do. Like, if you can, like, how our mothers are, they can cook and talk on the phone and instruct 20 people, and they're very multitasking all the time, but they don't think much of it. I approach it like that. Like, I'm able to do this. I don't know how it happens, but it happens clearly.
right. And how much of Zeba is in you in the sense that she's a rebellious kid who then comes into her own, and how much of that is in you? Were you a very rebellious child?
I'm all the characters I think in the book. I'm Zeba, I'm Khairun, I'm the Great Khan, Umar, Aisha, all the characters. I think yeah, all of us. I think youth is associated with rebellion. That's the whole point of it. a rebel without a cause, as they say. I think that's also because you're in a constant state of exploration and you're trying to figure how can you push boundaries and do something that's not been done before. And that is where really I feel like, any kind of growth happens for an individual, personally speaking, and for society as well. So yeah, I do see a lot of myself in Zeba, and but also the other characters.
And your favorite dialogue from the book? Not a dialogue, but a like a something somebody says or something, or it could be a passage or
Um,
something memorable.
Yeah, so the book has all these little post-its all over, and they're quite tongue-in-cheek and they're quite like funny. So the text could be saying something very serious, but the post-it would just completely, you know, give you the state of mind of one of the characters, the narrator, or whatever. So it's very disruptive in that sense. And one of my most favorite ones actually is in the opening where Zeba's kind of doing her diary and she's writing about like who she is and doing like a very formal kind of an introduction. And the post-it says that do not believe everything you read in the following pages because just because something is written down does not make it true, isn't it?
True. It's very deep.
I don't know if it's deep and it's a little tongue in cheek, I think.
Right, right. Why the
Besides
name
the person,
Zeba? How did you come up with Zeba?
the name,
Yeah.
I just like it's so going to sound very ditzy, but it's true. I just like the alphabet Z.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think like very few names and it's the last alphabet, and I feel like it'll be cool to have a name with a Z. Just that, honestly. I wish it was more deeper than that.
And what are if you would say three main themes in Zeba, what would they be?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think of it thematically. I don't think one should look at it and break it down thematically. That'd be rather boring, And I don't know. It's not an academic study. Um, it's an experience, and I invite all readers to draw their own inferences from what they feel about it. For some, it could be about a misfit, because that's the true purpose of art, right? An art, a work of art, is just supposed to be appreciated in what you see from it, because often it's also a reflection of yourself. Um, like my mom who would read it would have a very different experience from it from what you would read it. And I really invite readers to do that. So I don't want to narrow down the book into like these tiny little boxes. For me, it's about like magic realism. It's about an alternate reality. It's about this misfit of a woman who's I don't know. It's a coming of age tale. It's a tale about all these different people and their experiences. And all I'm trying to do is humanize all of them, including somebody who could be seen as an evil dictator, uh, not to take away the gravity of his crimes or the sins, but trying to understand what may create a monster, because we all have some amount of collective responsibility, to all the evils that exist in society. Which is why I get very like scared of like trying to put these labels, because at best they just again try and like box things as opposed to us trying to humanize and empathize with the other.
And your favorite author and book?
Cannot be one. Um, Favorite ever author. I would say J.K. Rowling has been an inspiration. I think,
Okay.
yeah, for sure. And I
Harry
think
Potter books.
all of them very unput downable as.
Favorite character in Harry Potter
um,
other than Harry?
Hagrid.
Who?
Hagrid.
Hagrid. Oh, okay. Why?
Just
That's a
love.
very
Everybody loves
usual.
Hagrid. It's Hagrid. Like he's always there. He's the guy. Hagrid sorts you out. Yeah.
Right, right. And one really unexpected compliment you got for Zeba, something that you didn't, it could be from somebody from the industry, it could be from some close family friend or.
I think everyone is just astounded how that I've written a book. I think for an actress, for a working actress, I think it's just something that's never been done before in our industry. Um, I was often told, earlier that, oh, why do you have to sound like you're? like you know everything. Can you just play it a little down and just pretend to be a little more dumb? Actors are not supposed to be so clever. So in
Yeah.
fact, my friend messaged and said, "Hey, congratulations!" And I can't believe you've written a book. And I said, "You know what? I've been accused of being too clever for my shoes. I might as well lean into that identity and own it completely." So here's the book. So I think just the fact that everyone has just been so supportive and so kind, uh, because they just like, you actually wrote a book. So I'm like, read it. It also has to be a good one. They're like, no, but just the fact that you really put your time, energy, effort into making it happen. I said, thank you, much appreciated.
And have you received any kind of constructive criticism on the book by any
The
writers?
process of writing a book is so humbling. It is an extremely humbling process because when my edits came back from HarperCollins, I used to just look at that document and I literally was in tears because I'm like, I can't even punctuate. Who am I fooling? Because like it's like these track marks and like because they come with a lot of notes and ideas and this and that. So it really looks like a very like I flunked a maths exam and there are all these like circles and lines all over it. A lot of red. So and then of course my editor called me saying, "Don't worry, it's normal. This is how it looks. Don't get overwhelmed by it. These are just suggestions. You don't have to take them, but this is just something." And I was like, okay, but yeah, that process is a very humbling process and a very scary process because you don't know what to keep, what to let go of, and it's because I know although they're just words on a piece of paper, but they evoke a lot of thought and feeling, not just in the reader, but also in the person who wrote it.
Right,
So
right.
letting go of something that you wrote is is a
Difficult.
is a difficult and a humbling because sometimes you're like, oh, this is what I was thinking, but that's not actually how it's coming across. So maybe I need to just let go of it.
And what is the difference between Huma the actor and Huma the writer? Where would you draw the line? I mean, what's the difference?
So a week before the book came out, I was having a lot of anxiety because I'm like, I'm an actor, and in this age of like clickbait journalism, people just take anything that you say and write articles about it, and they try and create controversy out of it and drama out of it. And here I am, and what was I even thinking that I thought I could express my thoughts in a book, like so that gave me, I don't know, for some reason suddenly it gave me a lot of anxiety. So I think Huma the author is far braver than Huma the actor.
Right. And was there anything that you learned through this process of writing? At the end of it, you can look back and say, "Oh, yes, I've become that person. I've learned that thing about myself."
I think through the process I've just been able to crystallize my own thoughts and feelings. A lot of writing is also like a therapy, like a purge. Sometimes, you feel a certain way about something, but you're not able to express it. Say, for example, like my relationship with my mother, like most relationships, I think with parents is always a complicated relationship. There's always a lot of love, care, affection, attention, nurturing. But at the same time, because of just the generational difference, there's always a lot of also conflict. If not conflict, there's a lot of like a disagreement, right? So one of my most favorite passages is about where the mother's character Aisha talks about how Zeba does not listen to her, and it's from Aisha's perspective, and she talks about how, like, is it such a bad thing to want children to see the world from your perspective? Because actually, all it is about is legacy. You want them, and I'm paraphrasing myself right now because I don't exactly remember the passage, but
Sure, sure.
it's about like what legacy is, because after a point, like, people die and memories are forgotten and recipes are erased and fragrances evaporate, and all that is left is a feeling and an idea of it, and that becomes fana. So I mean, I just thought, so when you sometimes when you write and you try and put yourself in the shoes of the other character, it helps you understand
Yeah.
perhaps how the other person is feeling, and it just helps you empathize with that.
And you have started a production company last year. You wrote a book, and how do you get the courage to start new things? Is it, do you push yourself, or is it just
Stupidity. It's
sorry?
called stupidity. An acute sense of stupidity that you think you can pull it all in 24 hours, and then you are setting yourself up for failure because you're constantly running on a schedule and trying to do 20,000 things at the same time. But I guess you have only one life to live, and only one life to try and fulfill whatever dreams that you have. So I'm just trying to do those. I've always loved films. I've always wanted to be part of films, and I think the natural progression for any actor is to be able to also now start controlling the narrative, what kind of films and stories they want to pull out, put
Right,
out.
right,
So this production company, in fact, we're in the office right now. This is my office. Is an attempt to do that, to put out the kind of stories I enjoy watching and making. And sometimes as an actor, you have to wait for the right films to come to you. It's like you're a hired laborer at best. You have to wait for those opportunities to come to you. And very often, like sometimes they don't. But in our own little world, we can at least try and put out those stories out there. And some of them will have me acting, and some of them will have Sakib, my brother, who's my producing partner with him, but also just, but we don't want it to be a company that's just making films for us. We just want to be able to tell stories,
right,
and stories that touch you and empower you and move you and entertain you, because that's like what we grew up watching, and like that's what inspired us to become actors.
right. And have your roles shaped your personality in any way? The roles that you've done, have they shaped your personality in any way?
They do actually. Whenever you play a new character, somebody you don't understand or who comes from a certain, I don't know, region or locality or area or demograph or, I don't know, ethnicity or cultural linguistic background, you educate yourself to be able to authentically play that character, and it does change you. In fact, I always say every few years I change my personality. I'm no longer the person I was 2 years ago or 5 years ago, or definitely not 7 years ago. I think I'm a completely different person now.
7 years ago, what kind of a person were you?
um Still finding my feet in the business, very nervous, very unsure. I'm still unsure and nervous, but I feel like at that point in time, and also in a terrible hurry um, to achieve something, because sometimes you feel like you only have finite time. And I think I was also very affected by the whole, um, at that point in time, this whole idea, oh, that actresses are supposed to be have a finite shelf life, and therefore I only have the next few years to prove myself. Otherwise, I'll be like a replaceable commodity. And I think popular media, films, even journalism have a huge role to play into that. We make young women feel that, oh, this is your make or break time, and this is what you have. And I feel that's very untrue and very unfair, and it just puts an undue amount of like pressure on their mental health, and you're also like degrading women by talking down to them like that. So I did feel I was very affected by that. And then you grow up and you're like, actually that's not really true. you know so I wish that changes. I really wish that changes.
They're in a better place now?
I mean, that's the idea, right? If you're not in a better place, then you're messing up, buddy.
Right. And what kind of research did you do for Zeba? Did you do any kind of research, or was it just all out of your head?
I mean, I did do a bit amount of research and background, whatever. But it was very like, um, because I'm trying to create a world in New York and I'm trying to create a world in Khudir. So a lot of Khudir is like make believe, right? It doesn't really exist. So for example, there's a clan which the first family of the Khudir kingdom belongs to, which are called the Akhuns. Now that actually is my mother's maiden name,
Oh,
Amina Akhun. And I thought that was quite interesting because there's a whole thing about the blood ritual and all that in the book. And I thought, Khun, Akhun, like it would be like a kind of like a cool fit over there. So in my head, it's like a make-believe country, which is like a cross between Nepal and Abu Dhabi. If they were to have a baby, it would be a place like Khuddin. It obviously does not exist, but like the idea is like, how do you tell a story and set up a place without like, like a make believe place, that was the idea.
Right. And what your next book, what's going to be about? Have you thought about it?
No idea. Depends how many copies we sell for this one.
Right. Last question, what's left in your wish list? In the sense, you've acted in so many quality films, you've started a production house, you've written a book. What's next?
Um, Two things. One, to make hopefully Zeba into a film, and
Oh,
second, to learn how to fly a plane.
really? Why? When did that become a dream?
It's been a dream. I mean, I would love to do it. I just haven't had the time to be able to figure it out. I think that'll be the coolest thing to do. I just think it's pretty cool, right? Pretty badass, as they say.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.